What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis,
Scoop.
Sam Claiborne.
Wait, this is Game Scoop? Where are we?
Jared Petty.
I'm in your house.
No, don't. It's not true. Viewers of the show may notice a change of scenery this week. We are having some scheduling issues getting to the studio, so we've been sent back to the old podcast room here.
Well, we were upgraded.
Yeah, upgraded.
That's what they called it.
Yeah,
I enjoy
the
the intimacy of this venue.
I agree. I feel like I can get into more. In the podcast room, I feel more at ease and at home, and I feel like we can get into it.
really get into it,
and agree that it's challenging to do.
You know why? It's because we can all cross our legs. I think that's the big difference.
There's some truth to that.
Without
whose legs are crossed right now?
persecution.
We'll never know.
Mine are crossed under the chair.
My
Mine are
ankles
crossed
are
under the
crossed.
chair. I just told. I ruined it right there. But yeah, this is like when the Rolling Stones do a secret show at a small venue. Or just here we are.
After we get through the top stories, I have a thing about robots I'd like to get off my chest.
Okay, yeah, I think we'll have time for that.
And I feel
The
like when
robot
we're in the
moment.
studio, it's challenging to have the time for the robot moment.
Yeah.
But
Hey, what's on this piece of paper?
Don't worry about that, Samuel.
I'm just imagining you with a big robot standing on your chest now.
I do. Whoa. I do actually
it's
prefer
an idiom.
Okay.
the rounded table.
Yeah?
I do.
The
It's just
rounded
easy.
table?
I mean, right? Is that not what it is?
No,
Yeah.
you're right.
King
It's,
Damon and his Knights of the Rounded Table.
I wish we could have some sort of setup like this in the studio. But
Yeah.
I digress. We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about open world games. We're going to talk about the best DS Lite and GBA games.
My hour has come.
But first, The Last Guardian
Yeah.
has been delayed again.
Yep.
Yeah.
This time by just a couple months, from October to December.
They just did this one as a goof, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just trolling us
Just
now.
joshing
At this
us.
point.
Yeah.
Last Guardian's delayed. ... Just for a few weeks, guys.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed.
We have an email from one of our viewers, Vito.
Ooh.
He emailed us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like you can. He writes from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he says, the news that The Last Guardian is being delayed again is troubling. I feel that more delays are to come. My question is there any way for this game to live up to or even exceed the hype that there is out for this game? Is this game doomed to fail?
Yes.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Justin is coming
No, I
right at
mean
it.
it's 10 years. It's too long. Like it doesn't even matter if it's a great game at this point. There's two things. First of all, I really, really love Eco, and I respect Shadow of the Colossus, although I have my concerns with that game. But neither one are big AAA polished massive games. That
Whoa,
sort
you
of,
don't think Shadow of the Colossus is a big
I
polished
just don't think
AAA
that game was. No, I don't think it's a massive AAA polished game. I'm not disparaging the game. I'm saying you stand it up next to the big tentpole, Bloodborne, Uncharted, other big games like that. I don't put that game in that category, and people are putting Last Guardian in that category. Like it has a hype level attached to it that I don't think it can possibly match.
I think that's what you said about the AAA factor. I think that's fair with Shadow. That was a game that was very rough around the edges, and it's part of what made it work. I mean, the vast emptiness populated by when you did come across something that was huge and lumbering, it really made even more of an impression because you were in this purposefully built but kind of low budget world in some ways. And I really like that about Shadow. I think that's part of what makes it wonderful is its sparseness. But this game, no, I don't think it intrinsically has to be a failure. I think if you're walking in expecting an Uncharted game, you're not going to get one because that's never what they've advertised in the first place.
Yeah.
They've advertised a heartwarming game about a giant bird dog that's probably going to make you cry at some point.
Bird dogs.
And it'll have charming little things happening and neat little puzzles and a couple of twists you don't expect or maybe do, and then you're gonna be real sad and real touched, and that's gonna be what this game is.
Somebody's dying in this game.
Yeah, I think maybe everyone.
I mean, someone dies in most games.
Yeah, but
That's
I mean,
true.
like either that boy or that bird dog.
Yeah.
One of the two of them
So
has
there's
got
going to
to
be a real tearjerker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the important thing about Shadow of the Colossus is that it was hyped. I mean, I remember reading on IGN. You were probably working here when it
I was
came
not
out.
here yet.
Not quite here.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a demo disc that was like a big hype, like spreading thing for that game, and I had that, and that was really cool. But what worked about Shadow of the Colossus is that it felt new. You were clambering over these giant bosses, and like that was a new mechanic. The open world didn't really matter if there was just these really cool boss fights, and it just felt so fresh. This game doesn't feel that fresh to me. I don't know if it's because I've already climbed on big things before, and that is still the mechanic in this game. But I definitely don't want to solve like puzzles in these worlds anymore. I want to play these action games, and this game's not an action game.
I do think it's going to be. I think it's going to be environmental puzzles.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good game, possibly even a great game. I don't think it's going to. I think the hype has exceeded what any game could match.
We previewed it today.
Yeah,
There's a preview up right now with a little bit of new footage, and Zach Ryan played it, and he, got stuck in some places and stuff like that. But the problem for me is that he's playing the same area we saw at E3.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen much. There has to be an amazing surprise or withholding from us, or there's nothing.
Or the game's just not that long.
Because why not just tease something in a trailer or something that just shows us what the game is? And everybody, the glass half empty is saying, because there's nothing else to show, which is what happened with No Man's Sky, right?
Yep.
That's what happened. But the glass half full is like, hey, maybe there's more to see here that they want to withhold because of secrecy.
The combination of the release date and the hype built in means that every eye in the gaming press is going to be laser focused on this when it comes out. I mean, we're all going to be looking at it with tremendous scrutiny. Of course, we all wish it had come out earlier, but I do think there's still hope for this. I think that might be optimistic naivety, but I still mostly see reasons to think that this is likely to be more good than bad, and good's all I ever really expected to get out of The Last Guardian. And maybe that's the problem. Based on the two previous games, I expected something a little different, a little quirky, and pretty good and touching, and that's all I expected. Maybe that's where I'm coming in as an outlier on this.
Well, keeping expectations in check is something a lot of gamers could work on, I think, just in general. Not letting expectations get out of control.
I just want to point out that I've accepted you as a hat person now.
Oh, okay.
It's taken about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's really worth
And I completely accept you as a hat person.
Sam found this hat in a corner and told me to put it on, and he's my boss, so I did. And
Well, that's not why you put it on. You put it on because
You were drawn to it.
You're drawn to it.
Yeah, I the mystery
It was
did grab me.
calling
But
to
really,
you.
actually, it was fear. But I put the hat on, and most hats don't fit me well. This one fits surprisingly well. I have no idea whose hat it is.
Okay.
But
We don't need to talk about the hat a lot.
have
But
a
if you're
big
not
head.
watching GameScoop, you can see what it looks like on our YouTube
We,
channel.
question,
GameScoop
is he
YouTube
wearing a
channel.
hat? Is the hero wearing a hat?
Yeah, I think.
Yes. Good.
I may need to pop
Tying it
out
all
for a
together.
Why?
There was an IGN fan in the office who had really nice, lovely, personalized gifts for lots of people, and I was jetting off to a meeting, so I didn't get a chance to chat. And he said, Justin, he stopped me and handed me an envelope that had my name on it, and on it was a list of suggested first questions.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
For,
That's
I
so-
can listen to.
I got one of those envelopes, but I had no idea who it was from, and he was suggesting a game to use for 20 questions.
Ooh. Yeah, so I may need to run out. It's right at my desk, and I want to sort of start testing out some of those first questions.
All right, that's okay. I have been excited for The Last Guardian. I'm still very interested to check that game out. The reports from the people that played it this week is that it seems a little frustrating, a little clunky. The bird dog doesn't always do what you want him to do, but of course he is an animal. I think maybe that's part of that might be by design. Like they're trying to make a realistic animal, and animals don't always do exactly what you want them to do.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
A baby animal.
But that
too.
doesn't make it fun.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like in GTA, if
Yeah.
you get caught and then you can't play the game for 10 years because you're in prison, that's not good.
I want him to do the Chuck Jones frog thing, just the hello, my baby, hello, my honey, at one point.
Who?
The
The
bird
bird
dog.
dog?
That's just because you're wearing a hat.
I don't think he's gonna.
You don't think
he's gonna
so?
do that? No.
That'd be great if he. That would be the surprise that would make.
I think it's put Sony in an interesting spot where it's so crazy how quickly the tables can turn. It's not like Xbox is on top now or anything, but they've had years of momentum of really dominating, and then No Man's Sky is kind of shaky, and we don't have any sort of real evidence that The Last Guardian is shaky or is going to get bad reviews or anything. But I'm just, like I said before, I don't believe it's going to be a huge blockbuster. It comes out and just sucks all the air out of the room and no game gets any attention. I just don't think it's going to be that kind of game. And the reception to the PS4 Pro.
Yep.
So it's like that's sort of they've had a weird.
They also raised the price of PS Plus, and people are never going to react.
Which it's
well
a
to
small
that.
deal, but it's still bad news, not good news. Yeah.
Very good points, but on the other hand, coming soon, cave ladies and robot dinosaurs.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, Horizon. It took me a second.
That's next year.
I know, but that's coming.
Yeah, and
That's
they
next
delayed
year's
I
some
think
stuff for
PSVR
next
will
year.
be
Point out,
their
did you see
story this
that
fall.
someone
That's
pointed
true.
out to you that
That's a
Xbox
great
also
point.
has cave ladies fighting dinosaurs in Killer Instinct?
That has not been pointed out to me, but that's a Killer Instinct game, so I
What
don't
about
care.
Primal Rage?
What about it? What about Primal Rage? Sam?
Maybe that's one of the 10 franchises that should make a return.
Primal
Primal
Rage.
Rage.
See, you keep
Was that ever a
keep
franchise?
saying these before we can do them.
Was that ever a franchise? I think there
there's
was only
two of
one.
them.
Were there two of them?
Yeah.
Man, that game was awful. Primal Rage.
All right, Last Guardian is now coming out December 6th. That is the same day as Dead Rising 4. So you got each platform gets their
It's
exclusive
also
on that day.
South Park, I think.
It was going to be until South Park was delayed.
Scoop.
Today.
It was delayed today?
Yeah.
To
Into
when?
Q1.
Oh, that makes my life easier. I had a bunch of things I had to write.
Same.
Yeah,
hard
so
to do
now
that guy
South
in
Park
December.
is coming out in early 2017.
Wow, I know I hadn't seen that news today. I don't actually.
I did not know that.
I don't
Wow.
read IGN.
That helps us a lot.
Of course, the first South Park game was delayed many, many times. This is, I think, the first delay for this game.
I'm
For
really surprised.
Fractured Butthole.
I laugh
Is
every
that how it's
time.
pronounced?
It's sort of. I feel like it's a miracle that game exists. Like it almost killed
Small
Matt and
miracle.
Trey.
Yeah.
And it was like every
like they really
indication
wanna do
was
this
like
again? Yeah.
they
Yeah.
made their one video game and that was it. They're done with video
Yeah.
games now, and then
Yeah.
they immediately turned around a sequel right away.
That's made like on the next street over from here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
just a
the
block
first
over.
time that studio's been working on such a big game, and that means that like Matt and Trey are there all the time, but we never see them at our local haunts, like the grilled cheese place and the Mexican food place,
the Thai
and
place.
Yeah, and they're at the Thai
Yeah,
place.
that's really weird.
What's
that
up with that?
Yeah.
Chunks
Maybe
up with that.
Chunks up with that.
Maybe they're over at Free Gold Watch.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, that's what it is. But you'd be spotting them then.
There's no South Park pinball machine there.
Yet.
That game kind of stinks.
Yeah, it's not great.
All right, moving on. This next email comes from Chris. Chris is a graduate student in Arizona. Do you know him?
Let me think. Yeah, I know a few Chris's.
He says, I listen to you guys every week while performing menial lab tasks
Oh,
and on my bike commute to and
Oh,
from
Chris.
campus. Yeah,
Lab Chris.
Wait, which university campus does he say?
he doesn't say.
Just in Arizona campus. All right.
This
This
is-
Ryan McCaffrey went to ASU, but I went to University of Arizona.
So between the two of you,
Get in touch.
Yeah, one of you
Or
knows.
there's
One of
also
you knows.
Northern Arizona University.
Ooh.
Flagstaff.
There are as many as 3 universities in Arizona.
Scoop.
I like
I'm gonna
Arizona
bring back
a
the
lot.
scoop. I feel
Yeah.
like we don't say scoop.
You know,
enough.
Arizona, underrated state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Flagstaff's beautiful.
Arizona's
Everything's
it's
beautiful.
fantastic.
Sedona. Oh my gosh.
I don't know that I've ever been to Arizona.
You should go.
Oh, you should. It's very diverse too. Like
Yep.
everywhere you travel is different. It's
People's
great.
mental image of Arizona doesn't match the reality.
Yeah.
Very green, nice, lush deserts.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
some also very not green, lush deserts.
Yeah, you can move 50
Two types
miles
of
in any
desert.
direction and the whole world changes around
Phoenix,
you. It's great.
disaster. Everywhere else,
Yeah.
beautiful.
A lot of
Phoenix,
cement in Phoenix.
Oh,
But mid-century.
and surprisingly
Really
humid
cool
in
60s
Phoenix
stuff.
because all the irrigation.
All right.
That's not
Anyway, Chris says, this is the first time I've
We were just
written
pushing
in.
your limits there, Damon. I wanted to see how far we could go with talking about Arizona. We planned this before the episode.
Yeah. Chris says, I own digital versions of BioShock and BioShock Infinite for Xbox 360. However, I sold my 360 about 6 months ago, trusting that most of the games I might still want to play will eventually be compatible on the Xbox One. Of course, the BioShock collection is out this week.
Yeah.
He says, 2 games on my list to revisit and finish are BioShock and Infinite. My main question is, do you think there will still be a push to make these games backwards compatible now that the BioShock collection has been released? Do you think this is why these games have been stated to eventually become backwards compatible, but have not for so long? Are they going to delay this further to boost the collection's
I mean, that
sales?
makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a real. I like HD collections. It's a godsend for games like Shadow of the Colossus, like we mentioned earlier. Fixes up some of the problems with that game, gives them a second life. But the cynical side of me, BioShock and BioShock 2 are often sold for $5 on Steam.
Yeah.
The PC versions are beautiful. But then they have the collection for $60, and I don't know, it sort of strikes a weird note with me, and I absolutely think that it's completely plausible that that's why they haven't come to backwards compatible, is because that'll impact the sales of the thing they're trying to sell for $60 this fall.
Yep.
Something's hurting my head right now. I feel like
Is it that?
It's not that. No.
So you're
but-
the keeper of the backwards compatible.
Well, that's what I
list.
mean. Like I was just working on it last week, and I'm wondering if one of them went up last week actually, but I can't remember. When did we get this letter? Because I
Recently.
feel like one of them went up very recently, but I could just be confused, and I don't have my phone on me, so I can't.
I'll do
check
a
it
fact
right now.
check.
Yeah, it would be.
Fact
it would-
check.
You guys carry on the
Do a
conversation.
fact check here. This
Okay.
is important because I feel like one of these.
Yeah, we
actually
want to bring
popped.
you the right information.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that apparently on the BioShock collection, baked in like streaming from consoles is blocked for all 3 games?
Why?
Oh, that's
Completely.
interesting.
You cannot stream those games from your PS4 or Xbox One.
I didn't even know that was an option to developers to turn that off.
Well, so they've been able to block streaming for certain moments that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
want
yeah.
to spoil.
And they block streaming when there's licensed music sometimes
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
like that.
But apparently, all 3 games are completely blocked from streaming on consoles.
Why?
We
very
don't know.
very
Someone
strange.
from Kotaku found it, and we tried to get comment from 2K, but 2K has not yet explained the
Maybe
reasoning
some
why.
obscure rights issue there with a
Yeah.
voice
Really strange.
performance.
I mean, the thing about digital games and collections and remakes and remasters and things of this nature is it tears me in two, Damon. So I don't like having a big physical game collection. I just don't. I live in an apartment. I want to have things digitally. It's nice and clean. I have 1,000 games in my Steam library without having to have 1,000 games in my closet. But the problem is you don't own those games. You're only leasing those games. I don't own my Steam collection, and you don't own any digital game the same way that you own a physical disc. And that's
Wait, you're saying that's in the end user license agreement?
yeah, like you're just licensing it from them. You don't own it. You can't resell it. You
And
can't.
Steam does have one of those, right? Like a checkbox and a thing at some point.
How do you
where it
mean?
says that.
Oh yeah, I mean, but all those digital platforms are like that. You don't technically own that content. You're just leasing it, and you can't resell it. I can take a disc and turn it in for $10 if I need to or want to. Can't do that with digital games. And that sucks. That feels bad. And that's what tears me in two. Is like I think all of that's a dark future for the music industry, the film industry, the games industry. But the convenience of being able to just download something overnight and play it.
I think people look at how people have moved to a streaming model for music.
Yeah.
I think most people are happy to have access to content rather than actually own it themselves. As long as they can access it, as long as they can access every song ever written, they don't need to own it all.
It's like you don't always like listen to all the things you have in your record collection or whatever.
Sure.
But just because you have it in the back burner for later.
Well,
So that's
also-
what's scary about that evaporating instantly. If like Nintendo just dumps the eShop permanently, then you'll never have access to all those games you paid for.
It's sort of a backwards way of thinking. Like people won't buy a PC game typically. Not I shouldn't say everyone, but it's a common to not want to buy a PC game unless you get a Steam code with it.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it real. It gets added to your Steam library. But that's kind of a backwards way of thinking. Like will Steam be around in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? What you really want is the DRM free copy of
Yep.
the game because then it's an executable that you can do with
until
whatever
operating
you
systems
want.
get crazy.
which GOG
Point
used to be
is
really
back
good
to
about.
cartridges.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely
could
Well,
Back
like I can give
Maybe Nintendo is taking us back there.
Yeah.
I can give my stack of 30 NES cards to my daughter, but again, my Steam library is tied to me, Justin
Yeah.
Davis, and I don't actually know legally what happens to that stuff when people passes away. I don't know. I don't know the ramifications of any of that stuff.
Going back to Sam's fact check, BioShock and BioShock Infinite are not available on backward
But we
compatibility.
still have a
I was-
note on our list that says they're coming. So
Yeah,
that was
well,
Well, that's
announced.
what I
Right,
think.
that was
I think
announced.
Microsoft
Yeah.
has said they plan on bringing them sometime, but I would
Yeah,
imagine they
that's-
want to get sales out of the collection first.
Yep, I wanted to be sure about that before I commented any more on it, just
Yeah.
because I had just been on that table and I remembered reading something about it, and I was like, wait a minute, I want to double check that. So yeah, Chris is correct, and yeah, I mean, why not get all the money you can out of a new collection when you got the opportunity? If I were a business person,
I think Steam
I'd do
allows you
that.
just update your BioShock copy too. I think
Yeah.
they just issued an update for it.
I do want to, and if I recall right, I'm only half remembering this. I think they did do Steam users a solid, where if they already owned all 3 games, you don't have to buy the $60 collection. I think you just get the graphical updates
Yeah.
for free.
I think it's free.
I'm not positive that that's correct, but I
Should I
believe
fact
that's
check it?
correct.
can I
don't know
buy
how
a
to look that
version
one up.
of BioShock Collection where I only pay $30 and I just get the first half of BioShock?
Right?
Because I absolutely do that.
And what do we want? The first half of BioShock.
Yeah.
We want Minerva's Den and BioShock 2.
Yep.
And then we want the Return to Rapture Part 1 and Part 2 DLC of Infinite.
This is a great game right
Yeah.
here. Let's make this game. That sounds good. I'll pay
And
30 for that.
I actually, again, I'm saying a lot of things that I don't know are true, but I think in BioShock 2 you can just play Minerva's Den. It's
Yeah.
a self-contained story.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to, borrow a copy from somebody and sort of play through. Like I never played Minerva's Den, and I hear such great things about it that I'd love to borrow a copy and just check that out.
Yeah, the upgrade is free on Steam.
Yeah, that's nice.
So if you already have BioShock 1 or 2,
Yeah.
this is not about Infinite.
So that's totally doing gamers a solid.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Chris says, for a potentially broader question, do you think collections like the BioShock collection are worth it to the consumer, or are these just easy cash grabs by video game companies?
It varies
Both.
by collection. Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
every time a game is reissued, we get another chance to hold on to history a little longer. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, some
Yeah,
collections.
it's an archival desire of yours that you like that the disc exists with all these games on it that you can play, right?
Yeah, I don't want these things to be forgotten and lost. And
Yeah.
every newer version future proofs it a little more. Because it's not just a matter of the physical medium, but also the fact that gradually software becomes obsolete on platforms too. So
Yeah.
older versions, like you were talking about with DOS, sometimes it becomes harder and harder to make them
Well, they
run.
often make quality of life improvements and just other incremental upgrades to the game that keep it relevant. There's weird things like I missed the the Sly Cooper games. I just never played them. And then I got the collection on PS3. It's great. It was cheap. You get 3 great Sly Cooper games. It's an opportunity to catch up. But now that was on PS3, and now my PS3 is in my closet. Yeah. And now it's like, now they're like gone again. So it's like, like I don't like that there's no permanence to it. Like I really feel like I'd like one universal games library, and if I own Sly Cooper, I own it. And that's it. I don't need to, like, you know, Altano does his rant where he's bought Super Mario Brothers 20 times on 20 platforms. And I dislike that part of it, I guess. Like, they have all these awesome PSN sales or PS Plus games that are only on PS3. And I'm like, yeah, but the PS3, like, my PS4 is 3 years old. Like,
I do wish they could all be done, and this is kind of a common complaint among people who play a lot of old games that are reissued. I wish they could all be done by M2, or maybe the Frank Cifaldi's group over in Oakland does these wonderful.
Remind the listeners what they made recently.
Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is really good. Mega Man Legacy Collection is really well done, and M2's done. You know, I think the Treasure Box is the first one that kind of stood out for a lot of people, but they have done.
What's the Treasure Box?
The Treasure Box was a collection of treasure games for PS2 that. It didn't come to America. It was the first, but they do emulation. I've met these guys several times. They just care. Like they care so very much. This is a guy, like the guy that runs the company is a dude who used to go to the arcade and play Gauntlet, and he and his friends were just so obsessed with Gauntlet that they went home and kind of made their own version so they could play it more. And gradually just got obsessed with emulating it better and better.
He also was the person responsible for making the Pauline version of Donkey Kong, where you play as Pauline.
Oh, he's that guy.
So, just some really, really cool stuff.
Good with old games, basically.
Yeah.
Dig into them and make them work again. Mike?
Oh, no, I'm not talking about Mike over with Frank. I'm talking about M2, the M2 guys that did Treasure Box.
Okay.
And my apologies. I'm talking about the guy that runs M2 over in Japan. But sorry, I didn't want to cause confusion. Yeah, Mike Mika, I mean, that's another dude who's done some amazing stuff in retro game service. But there are differences, there are tiers in how well it's done. Sometimes it's a quick cash in. Some of the old digital clip stuff or Backbone was just, really badly done. But recently, a lot of that's turned around.
There's the recency of it. Like now, I feel like they need to make the Jack and Daxter collection again, they did it 5 years ago, but they need to do it again. And like I don't know, like I'm replaying WoW, and there's like dungeons, like a level 30 dungeon. And then they'll do a version of it for max level players. Like, here's the version that you play when you're leveling up, and here's the max level version. But then the next expansion comes out, and the max level's higher, and those max level dungeons are old again. Like, there needs to be a better solution for this sort of stuff. Like a rolling remaster that's just always up to date.
Treasure Box, the Fantasy Zone collection for PS2, and then just on what it
Super
contains.
Mario All Stars.
Taito Memories, the 4-volume Taito Memories that came. Oh my gosh!
Can we agree that Mario All Stars, the Mario All Stars cart with Super Mario World, is the greatest game cartridge of all time?
Great. What a great game cartridge!
Yeah, I think that's.
Holy smokes!
I'm with you.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah.
Chris ends his email by saying, "Thanks so much. You guys are awesome. Best of luck with the 20 questions this week."
Ooh. Ominous.
Stay tuned for that.
Scoop.
Next email comes from Colton Lang.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Can someone explain open world games to me?" All right, this one's a little long. Bear with Colton and I.
All right.
For a while now, I felt as though I'm missing something that everyone else seems to understand. Open world video games have clearly become the hip new thing to make. When I first learned of the concept, I was enthralled with it as much as anyone else. Two of my favorite open world games are Metal Gear Solid 5 and Dark Souls. And when I tell people that, I am met with negative replies. The response that Metal Gear Solid 5 gets is, there's nothing to do in that empty open world. I don't get it. There are countless bases to infiltrate in a seemingly endless variety of ways, with an emergent gameplay arising from the interactions of complex systems, well-programmed AI. It seems like there's a lot more to do in a game like MGS5 than something like GTA, where all you do is run around, talk to people, and do some basic combat and driving. But the response that Dark Souls gets is even more confusing. It's a resounding, that isn't an open-world game. Why not? From the moment I get to Firelink Shrine, I'm free to wander in any direction. I can traverse the entire game without a single loading screen apart from when I die. I've tried my hand at many of the highest praised open world franchises, including GTA, Infamous, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Skyrim. They all seem to be just really mechanically uninteresting games with very little depth. What's more, they seem to be filled to the brim with copy-paste filler content that offers no challenge or inherent reward. What am I missing, guys? Am I crazy, or is everybody else crazy?
Just about the classification of what an open world game is? That's all?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When people say open world, there's a shorthand for, that means something more than just a literal open world. Like, Dark Souls is literally an open world in the sense that you can wander around, but the term like open world game means that there's points on a map where you can go do little side missions and mini missions and stray
usually
off from the main story, and you can race cars and you can do
I
other
don't think
stuff.
Dark
Mini
Souls is an
games
open world game. I
But
completely agree.
it is in the literal sense that you can wander around an open world.
It's an open world.
But it's not though, because it's just a bunch of walls with paths. You're actually going in corridors.
Well, but they fold back on themselves in interesting ways,
like
and
you can't like hop a wall and all of a sudden be in an area between areas. Like
Two thoughts.
some areas are opener.
Yeah.
Sam and I have had talked about Dark Souls about this very topic before. Two thoughts come to mind about what you just said, Justin, and what Sam said. Well, first, genre distinctions are arbitrary ways that we use to classify games so that we can compartmentalize them in our minds and talk about them.
It's shorthand.
They're necessary, but they're a pain in the butt sometimes because they must be ambiguous by their very nature.
Yeah.
Second, you talk about Dark Souls particularly. I feel like Dark Souls it's open world in the sense Justin discusses. It's not open world in the sense that Sam discusses. I think it's almost more like a 3D Metroidvania.
Oh, totally. I thought you were going to go
where
there.
it's the
got a hub world,
It's a
but
Castlevania
they all
castle.
Well,
where
except
you can
that-
go almost anywhere, but except some things are sort of locked off and
But
sort
there
of
aren't
not.
exits
Yeah.
to one area that lead
But
to
I
the
would push
other.
back on that a little bit because Metroidvania specifically gate off progress based on the abilities that you've unlocked.
That's true.
And Dark Souls doesn't.
And Dark Souls doesn't, and I think that's fair as well. So yeah, there's a plenty of openness to Dark Souls.
What does stop you from going from area to Dark Souls? I just
Nothing.
played a lot. of
Once you
three.
get to fire, like if you're good enough,
Yeah.
you can do almost anything.
So, but what stops you is bosses.
But
I mean-
but you can kill them.
Yeah.
If you're
Yes.
good enough, you can kill them.
But you can't run past them and and avoid them and like just go to the end of the game
Sometimes you
and
can go
see
around them. Sometimes you go completely around them. There are ways to bypass major
Because I
chunks of
thought
Dark
that
Souls.
I was in the the opening the castle walls area.
Yeah.
And there's a boss there, and if you don't want to beat that boss, what's your option to go to the next area?
In the early in one, I
This
think
is
you
just this
have
is the
to get through
second
the first
major
one.
area, like the castle walls. Like that's what's confusing to me. I feel like that just completely prevents you from going anywhere.
Pretty sure there's a way around that. It has been a
All
while.
right. What about Metal Gear Solid 5? Do you think that's a open world game?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't think of it that way.
Because I'm
just
running
it's-
so much.
It's I mean, I know that there's two large areas that you can run around in
Yeah,
freely.
I wouldn't recommend it as
But
an
I
open world.
I don't play it as an open world game because it's very
Totally.
instance based. From my forward operating base, I take my helicopter to
Yeah.
my mission location. I perform my mission and then I leave and go back to my forward operating.
In that sense, I do consider it. I don't consider it very sandboxy. Like that's sort of the difference. Like he talks about all the emergent games and colliding systems, and I kind of don't think about Metal Gear Solid 5 as a game in that way. I don't see unexpected, crazy things happening because something rolled in from some other part of the sandbox as often in that game. It feels much more controlled, and I feel like that would have been a better game probably if it wasn't an open world and just drop us into.
That can't be a better game.
No, I had
was impossible.
I had a lot of experience
No,
in
it's
that
great.
game
I
that was
agree,
different
actually.
than what you had, Justin. I went in there and emergent things happened a lot, and they happened in ways that absolutely shocked me.
Yeah,
I
but in
remember,
like a
Like where a jeep
localized
shows up with
way.
people in it.
huh?
Like that kind of thing? Like where a Jeep shows up, you're like, now I have
Well,
to
not
deal
just
with
a
this.
Jeep showing up, but I would try something and it would just work, and then it would work again. It would work in clever ways that I didn't expect.
Yeah,
and
but
I
that
could-
would work in a mission-based structure. That's not as a result of it being an open world.
And I'm no, not this. I'd be wandering around the open world and like stop a convoy, and I would try to block the first vehicle in the convoy, and that would back everybody up, and that would cause a weird reaction. And then if I sat out in the dark and shot the systems were playing off each other more in a Red Faction-y way, I think, than
And then you can just ditch out anytime.
Yeah, and
you
I
can
could just ditch
run
away.
somewhere
I-
else.
yeah,
Run
it
away,
was.
yeah.
It
And
was
that, so I think, like for me, like what always drove me crazy in like Ocarina of Time
Yeah.
is that you have open areas, but then, well, this is more in Twilight Princess. I probably complain about that game instead of Ocarina of Time, which is a wonderful game. They give you big open areas, but then you between them is like little corridors.
Yeah.
But on the edge of the area, there's just like a dirt incline that you just can't climb up. Like that's what's limiting you. And before that, it was invisible walls. You guys
Yeah.
remember games with invisible walls? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like really. That really bothers me. And so the bigger you can expand the world, even if there's nothing in it, the more like I'm not having like bad memories of running into visible walls and inclines I can't run out. So I like that in Metal Gear because you'll be in a base and all you care about is the base, but like it's not claustrophobic anyway because I know like around it is many other bases and there's all these other areas. And for me, I just like that feeling. I like the feeling of like this open world around me because it feels more interactive and it gives it more of a sense of exploration and wonder.
No, it's
and that's
great.
what I like about games.
I mean, Skyrim's so wonderful that after that intro,
Yeah.
you can go north, south, east, or west and get into stir up all kinds of ruckus anywhere in the world.
But my wife,
and you can horse climb anything.
But my wife, who
anything.
plays a lot of games,
Yeah.
is terribly frustrated when she steps into a game as open as Skyrim.
Yeah.
She's tried it a couple of times. She's just like, I don't want this. And she plays some RPGs even that are more structured and directional oriented. She likes story. She likes the idea of progress. She likes making choices. But when she stands in the middle of a big open area and there's no idea where to go or what to do next.
That's why you write things to do first.
That's what drives her nuts. She's like, I don't want to look that up. Just want to go play.
Did I tell you about my wife playing Skyrim?
Nah.
It's pretty good. So she's not really a gamer, but she is a teacher and has summers off, and she plays through maybe 1 or 2 games every summer. And stuff like Red Dead or Skyrim, like pretty hardcore stuff, even though she's not plugged into video games at all. Like she doesn't know anything about them. And she was playing through Skyrim, or she asked me to pick out like, hey, what's a game you think I'll like? And I'm like, well, try Skyrim. And then in like 2 weeks, she's like, oh, yeah, I beat Skyrim today. I'm like, what? The game's like 1,000 times long. But for her, beating the game was she just did the main quest and never, ever, because the game, unless you change your missions, it's like, talk to this person, go talk to this person, talk to this person.
Wow.
And she did, the 8 main quests. And she's like, yeah, I beat the big dragon at the end and I beat Skyrim.
She may be the only one.
She's the only person that just ran straight through. And I'm like, do you understand? Like, look at your map and zoom out on your map and see you didn't go like anywhere east of like Whiterun. Like the game never even hardly takes you over there. There's like a whole corner of the map that you never even visit. And she's like, nah, I don't care. I saved the world. I'm good.
I can't believe you have enough XP to do something like that. But it scales, right?
She just ran straight through. Just wherever the map marker tells you to go, she went there.
That's rad.
What do you think about?
What about the Mages College?
What about Colton's claim that open world games are the hip new thing?
Oh yeah.
You think that's true?
Yeah.
No, well, okay.
Everything's open world now.
But the thing is that it costs so much more to do that. Maybe it's becoming easier, but like the games that can afford to do that have the biggest marketing.
Yeah.
Every company now has a fall game that's an open world game. 2K, Ubisoft, Sony, like everybody works on a big open world game.
I mean, the default is that everything, like Dishonored 2 is not an open world. And neither was Dishonored, and like the expectation, like that's become the weird thing now. It's like, oh, it's not an open world. Like that's unusual and that's weird. And I should clarify, like the levels are huge and sprawling, and they plop you in, and now here's 8 ways to get to your objective, but you can't just wander around the city. It is mission based and level based.
Yeah, some of it's marketing, and some of it's probably a response to waypoint fatigue. I mean, because there was some of that for a while. It got to be a point where half the games I played were about following marker to marker down a tunnel, and I think people eventually realized that wasn't going to be a sustainable model for building games. Opening things up allows you often to do exactly the same thing, but the illusion's different. And if somebody wants to step away for a while and come back, also I think maybe it's just a matter of looking at something like Witcher 3, and there's just so much possibility that hasn't been explored in that mode of game making yet. There's when you got a big open area, there's a lot of cool things you can do with that. Hey, what happens if I go over the next hill? And that has not been exhausted yet.
I mean, I sort of personally go through these phases of like I'll be in the mood for like I want to be plopped in a world and do whatever I want and have the sandbox to explore. And if I do that for a while, I get fatigued on that concept, and I'm like, nah, I just want a game where it's just level 1, level 2, level 3, or more like a Shovel Knight, or like something very directed and guided, and then I spend my years switching back and forth between the two.
It is never a bad
I need to be in the right
place.
mood. Like I'm in a mood for an open world game. What big open world game should I pick up? Like
playing Shovel Knight is always the right choice.
Well, sure.
In any situation.
There's times a year where I'm in the mood for an open world game. We have time off and stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely the fall.
Watch Dogs 2 maybe
I
this
like
year.
that. I like vegging out over Thanksgiving to an open world game. I always look forward to that.
The best.
Yeah.
Next email comes from Kevin Jacobson. He says, based on a recent discussion on the pod, I think we should, when we get in like little arguments around the office, we should be like, hey guys, settle it on the pod. Recent discussion on the pod about the best console. Jared's assertion that the DS Lite was perfect. I went out and got one. So now I'm looking for your favorite DS Lite or GBA games to fill this hole in my gaming knowledge.
Oh my, what a great man, the DS Lite with that GBA port. It probably has access to more great games than anything else.
So IGN has top 25 lists for both DS and GBA.
Yeah.
GBA was recently updated and dusted off. The DS one is a little bit older, but still good resources.
You want to put me on that one, Jess?
DS?
So,
No,
first of all,
we're all right.
First with DS, you want to play all the Castlevanias.
Yeah, you do want to play all the DS Castlevanias.
And you can-
absolutely.
Particularly Dawn.
Ecclesia was so good.
Well, you can stop at Portrait of Ruin.
No,
Yeah,
Ecclesia is awesome.
Is that after Portrait of Ruin?
Yeah, it's great.
Play Dawn.
They're all good.
I don't want to be
They're
smirched
like
over
better
only
than
of a
they're
Castlevania.
99 percentile games.
But play Dawn first. and then played Portrait. I think that
Oh,
I'd
Portrait's the
started Dawn.
bad one.
Portrait's okay.
I think Portrait's weak too.
I feel like Portrait's
that's
better
so
than
wonderful.
Ecclesia.
Those 2D
Whatever the
Castlevania
case,
games.
you're
Let's,
not gonna go
let's all
wrong.
disagree.
Great.
Start at Dawn because that is the best.
No,
Do we
I
think-
like Ecclesia
You like
best.
Ecclesia more than Dawn?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like
Wow,
that.
why,
Dawn's too
Sam? I'm really
early.
curious.
I like Circle
because
of the
it was
Moon.
just a little bit early. Like I think it was taking
I liked them
advantage
all.
of DS stuff that was a little silly.
Is Circle of
You
the
didn't
Moon
draw
the
a lot on
third
it?
GBA one or the first GBA one?
Let's do DS first.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, yeah. DS would be so okay.
I like Picross DS for a puzzle game, and I actually like Picross DS better than Picross 3D.
Yeah, Picross
Yeah,
DS
Picross
is
DS is
wonderful.
great.
I agree.
Really cool, clever, cute puzzle game where you get to
Yeah.
reveal cool Nintendo characters.
I love
there's-
Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
I love Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis. That's the one on DS.
Oh.
If the word
you're
Atlas
still
is
thinking
stamped on
GBA.
the box, you
Am I?
should probably buy it.
That's
if it's
actually
Well, I
on
don't know.
good.
DS.
Sure.
Trauma
I think there's
Center?
Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Trauma Center,
The early
Etrian
one.
Odyssey. Oh wait, we're getting off your list here. Though.
Etrian Odyssey is a little. I would not recommend that game to just anybody. It's a
IGN
little.
named Etrian Odyssey 2 the #1 dungeon crawler of all time.
I don't know. I recently tried playing Etrian Odyssey
I knew we
4.
should have had you on that
Yeah,
panel.
you're still
3DS.
borrowing my copy.
Oh yeah, but I don't even like it. It's like too dense and awkward.
But great Contact, which is a wonderful little RPG.
Contact?
Contact's great.
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, the Chrono Trigger port, which is the definitive version. That's so great, Sam.
Yeah.
All the
Hotel Dusk.
all the Megatens, Shin Megami Tensei Strange
That's
Journey.
an early one too. I like that
Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey is fantastic. Nobody played this game, and it's wonderful. Oh, it's about an expedition that gets lost in Antarctica, and then they stumble onto like hella demons, and it's just
Hella
it's
demons.
wonderful. That's a great
Phoenix
game.
Wright series.
Oh, yeah,
so
the
good.
first three before that franchise got
started
real
on
weird.
started on DS.
That super
Well,
Scribble
for us,
Knots.
it started on DS. In Japan, it was on GBA for a while.
Okay.
Nah, Duncan Scribble Knots on the App Store instead.
Super Scribble Knots. Play that one.
Oh, yeah, Super Scribble Knots.
Super
Wasn't
Scribble
that
Knots,
3DS
particularly. No, that's a DS one. It's the best Scribble Knots game. It's before the script. It has fewer features than the later
impressive
Scribble Knots
game.
games, but it's much better game. It's much more fun. I really love Super Scribble Knots. I think that's kind of the sweet spot of that series.
There were 2 Advance Wars on DS. You want to play
Yeah.
Advance Wars Dual Strike. I think you can
Well,
avoid
the
days
Advance
of
Wars
ruin.
games get gradually worse. So
Yeah.
honestly, Advance Wars 1 or 2 on the GBA
good.
are
We're
better
gonna
than
get to
Dual Strike.
GBA.
I know,
We're
but
at
I'm
the
just
GBA.
saying.
Yeah.
I love both Zelda games. I know a lot of people disagree with that. I
so
think
Phantom Hourglass?
Hourglass and Spirit Tracks is so cute.
Oh yeah, I love Spirit Tracks. It's so
really
good.
cool.
Yeah,
Spirit Tracks is
especially
much
It's a
better than
wacky
Phantom
game.
Hourglass.
Yeah,
Great dungeons.
Yeah, the great dungeons and Spirit Tracks. I agree.
But also, I just like the tracks. I like going around. It's like 3D, and you're like shooting bunnies. It's really cool.
Space Invaders Extreme, one of the best shooters of the
that was a
21st
good
century, and the DS version's the best version of that game.
They also did a really good new Arkanoid, right?
Oh,
the mouse
yeah,
controller.
but you gotta get the
but
spinner.
If you can find the spinner controller,
You gotta get the spinner.
it's great.
Otherwise, that game's
It's
just not as good. But if you, it's so good.
Tetris DS is great.
Oh, it is.
yeah, I don't know. Like that was really cool playing against other people. So
Yeah.
you'd have to
I
find
mean,
someone else.
Remember
who did it.
Medios?
What's that?
Yeah,
Medios
Medios.
was the other good puzzle game. So Picross, Picross,
I said Picross.
Tetris, and Medios, I
Medios.
think, are like the trifecta.
We to me like Mario Kart DS that's the last Mario Kart game that I truly spent like dozens and dozens of hours
Remember
with. Like, it's
there's
so
like an
perfect.
achievement system in that with like these coins that you collect, and it was really fun.
That might
Yeah.
be 3DS.
No, it's DS.
Single player,
Yeah,
it's
I
a lot
didn't
of fun.
like 3DS
It's broken now, like, and I don't even know. You probably can't even play it online anymore. I don't know,
I
but
think they might have turned the online off. Well, then that was the snaking. But
yeah.
I mean, play offline. Like it was
but
great.
so much
Snaking
fun.
was
I
so
agree.
fun.
Yeah, the offline's wonderful. A few others that come to mind. Dragon Quest V is one of the greatest JRPGs. You need to play it. It's on DS. Dragon Quest IX, a completely different kind of Dragon Quest, and wonderful. It's more of a loot loop kind of game, and it's wonderful.
like
Whereupon
that.
5,
I like loot loops.
Yeah, the Dragon Quest IX is a great loot loop game, and Dragon Quest V is a great story-based RPG that starts out in the first like 10 minutes being like, nope, you're not the hero. You're like, what? And it's like, no, you're not the hero. And you're like, huh? And then it sticks to that, and it's so good.
A game that not enough people talk about is Yoshi Island 2 on the DS.
Yeah, you can
really,
play as
really,
Baby Donkey Kong, Baby Peach.
it's really hard. Like that game gets incredibly like in terms of 2D platforming chops. Like there's a final world in that game that's like it's super legit, super hard. I actually don't know that game doesn't get a lot of respect, and I don't know what I'm missing that other
Well, it's
people
no
dislike
touch and
about
go.
it. But
Yeah.
I was
Yoshi's touch
thinking
and
of
go.
other Nintendo ones. Like I I actually wouldn't recommend New Super Mario Brothers at this point.
It's
I
okay.
think I
It's
agree with
okay.
you.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that.
It doesn't really.
I think you can skip it though with all these other games.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were better New Super Mario Brothers games to follow. Also, a few of the Atlas
about
games.
Brain Age?
And Sheeran the Wanderer on DS is probably my favorite Sheeran game. Although the new Vita one's
High marks.
Nah, man, but the new Vita game's really great too. That's a great one.
Proceed with caution on those.
What else
Again,
is on our-
another games I would not say are for everyone.
What else is on our top 25 we haven't mentioned? Do you
So
have
many
it?
good games.
On DS.
Oh, I thought you had it in front of you. If you don't know, that's
no, I
fine.
don't have it.
I'm forgetting so much. There's so many other great games
Yeah.
on this thing.
Actually,
okay, we
before
said-
I worked here,
Canvas Curse. Canvas
Yeah,
Curse.
I don't like Canvas
That game's
Curse.
really good.
Oh,
Canvas
that's
Curse
Kirby?
is great. Yeah,
Kirby.
that's a great game.
I didn't like those Kirby line drawing games.
Metroid
really?
Prime Pinball.
Metro Prime Pinball is great.
That was a
That was
good
a
game?
DS game?
Okay.
Wow.
It came with a Rumble Pack.
Yeah, it did come with a Rumble Pack.
WarioWare, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Touch a
Well,
lot.
Yeah.
Twisted
yeah.
is really good.
Ooh,
but
Twisted was a GBA game.
Yeah.
The version of Namco Museum that came on the DS has the 4-player Pac-Man game that Miyamoto helped with on it, and it works through the Wi-Fi.
Pac-Man
And you
Versus.
only have to have one cartridge to play Pac-Man Versus with four people. That's
know that.
wonderful. You can
That's
play,
crazy.
so it just beams the ghosts to everybody else, and the 4 of you can play together.
cool
That's a really fun party game.
This is me. Before I got hired here, I was editor-in-chief of a website that was all handheld games. So I often say I worked in mobile games, but we covered PSP and DS too. So this is my jam.
And that was
right.
Rabbits.
Yeah, I played all that stuff. That was right
what
at
was that called?
the
Touch
peak
something?
of handheld gaming too.
Yeah.
And Sam's so right about Chrono Trigger. That is the best version of
really well done.
maybe the best RPG.
Final Fantasy VI is on DS too.
Yeah, I mean all those ports. There's GBA
6
ports and
no, 6
of
is
all
on
those-
GBA.
of
It's
all
not-
those
it's on
classics.
DS.
Yeah.
6 on
Well, speaking of GBA, the first Mario vs. Donkey Kong
Yep.
was on GBA.
It was great.
It's a great.
Wonderful puzzle
Yeah,
platformer.
really,
That
really
one
good.
you still are jumping and stuff. It's not the
Yeah.
minis.
No, it's not the minis yet.
Yeah,
So
not
it's
minis yet.
basically
March of
Donkey
the
Kong
Minis
94
was-
sequel.
Yeah,
I remember
it's
that.
not- it's sequel
You
to
can
Donkey
do
Kong
like a little
94.
flip as Mario,
Yep.
like to get around stuff.
Yep.
Game-
Really, really good.
That game's great.
Underrated Nintendo game.
Mario Golf on GBA is awesome. It's
Oh,
awesome.
I never
and it's
played
really
that.
good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really, really good. Yeah. And then Advance Wars 1 and 2 are on GBA. And then you want to play all those Castlevanias on
Yep.
GBA.
The GBA ones are better than the DS ones.
Play Aria. That's the
Tactics
best.
Advance.
Harmony's okay.
Aria
which
is
one?
great.
I like Circle.
So-
Is that the third one?
Hold on.
Aria is the
Hold
last
on.
one.
Yeah, that's one I like the
Hold
most.
on. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, you think?
I don't know. I never
No.
played it.
I don't
It's
know.
all right.
I think the first Tactics is good, and then the 2 sequels I don't think
Tactics
are
is.
very good.
I mean, it's not a bad game, but it's not a all-time
There's
classic.
also Fire Emblem.
the
that I didn't
Judge
play.
the
ruined
two
Instead-
Fire Emblems on GBA are great.
Instead play Fire Emblem or Tactics Ogre, the Knight of Lotus.
Yep.
It's a great tactics game on
And
GBA.
then go get a Vita or a PSP and play Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together, the best tactical game ever.
That's on Vita?
Yeah. Well, it's the PSP version, but you can play it on Vita now, I believe.
Drill Dozer.
I think you can play that on Vita now.
All right.
I never played that.
If
That's
I break
available on a
it.
bunch of systems now. I want to play that. game.
Dozer, that game's so good.
Drill Dozer is great.
I should get
Mr.
that.
Oh, I forgot to mention Mr. Driller
Mr.
on DS.
Driller.
Oh, that's a good game.
It's great.
The drill is really good. And Astro Boy.
Yep.
GBA,
Astro Boy,
I think
Astro
there's
Boy
a general
Omega
rule
Factor.
for me where you should stick to 2D because the 3D games didn't
Yeah.
work out very well on
Yeah.
GBA.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, you got to bring it up. Ninja 5 is really fun.
Minish Cap is better than
Shantae.
both DS Zeldas.
Yeah, just go pick up Shantae and Ninja 5.
Yeah, because everybody can afford
$700.
those. Well, that's a GBC game there with Shantae. Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6. If you buy 5, make sure you get the European version because the American version is broken.
Yeah, it's
The
literally
You
broken.
can't get past a certain point.
No,
is that right?
it just screws up combat badly. Like
I
They
thought
made
there
it
was a
easy or
bug.
something?
I thought
There
there was
was
a
something.
game-breaking bug in it that never got fixed.
Yeah,
'cause
I
it's
there's
on
don't
the
I don't
card.
know if it prevents you from winning, but I know that the bug in combat just like you just lose turns in active time battle constantly, and it's like it's just a bug and they fixed it in Europe.
So skip that.
But the 5 version's great.
Oh, and
6
on
is
both
a
those
good
systems
port.
are region free. We should mention.
Yeah, that's another great thing.
Yeah.
They are both region free. Jeez.
Right.
So many GBA games.
Happy GBA and DS gaming, Kevin Jacobson. Now is the time on GameScoop when we
Love your
play
movies.
20 question. What's that?
Nothing.
20 questions. Our suggestion this week comes from Russell Cruz.
Can I go around and get my first question?
Sure, go right.
All right,
I'll be right
so
back.
Justin's gonna get his.
So this is from who?
Doug, aka Dougzer.
Dougzer. Okay.
No, and Doug, this is really cool. Thank you for sending this in. Just a new first question. Okay. Is there a monetary system, or do you have or collect money in this game?
No.
Okay. Was this game released after January 1st, 2000?
No.
All right.
Great. Same question, 1990.
No. Wait.
I love when you always get confused. It's
Yeah.
my favorite part of the.
Well,
You're
'cause
asking
sometimes we
if
say
it was released after January 1st, 1990?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So it's a 90s game.
90 to 2000. Only 90s kids will know the answer to this
Yeah.
one.
Well,
All right.
technically, 90s kids could have not been born.
Right, they might not remember
So it's
it
really
even.
80s kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
70s kids representing.
I have some good new questions too, but I feel like it won't narrow it down at all.
Are there graham crackers?
Yeah.
Did this game
I think difficulty would be a good one to explore.
is easy or hard?
Yeah.
I like that. So we know it's a 90s game. Did this game appear? Is this game primarily known for being on a Nintendo console?
No.
Okay. Was this game critically well received?
I love that one.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I think so. To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Damon likes it. Can we ask that question?
You may
really
ask
funny.
that question.
Does it have sequels?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this game primarily known for being on Sega consoles?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Ooh, okay, so the
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Sanic the Fast Hog.
it's primarily it could be a
All
license.
right, I'm going to ask one follow-up. Is this game made by Sega?
What are you asking?
Is Sega the developer?
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But
So-
possibly on
Well,
Sega Collections.
Hold on.
Okay.
I think.
It could be one of the teams.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to change my answer to yes. It is made by
Yeah.
a developer that was owned by Sega.
So it
I'm
could be-
thinking
yeah.
Vector Man.
Could be one of the teams. Yeah. Huh?
I'm thinking Dreamcast.
It could be one of. Yeah. it's about
Oh man,
console.
I'm totally in Genesis mode. But you're right,
99.99.
99.
What's the game where you just live in the Japanese town?
Oh,
Shenmue.
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 I
Yeah.
was thinking that.
Shenmue.
Why don't we ask about console then? There's 3 consoles from this period. Why don't we narrow the
Sure.
platform down?
Or we can just say is it 3D? No,
Is
you
it-
can't
is
do
it-
that because there's.
That's, I mean,
Sonic.
yeah, I think
Is it a Dreamcast game?
What you're asking me if this game was released on the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so it's either Genesis or Saturn.
I'm gonna.
CD.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I mean,
could go with
I don't even want to burn a question on Saturn. The
understand.
odds of it being Saturn feel very slim. I'm gonna feel like a big old dummy if it
It was
is.
on a Genesis.
Panzer Dragoon.
We're assuming. Do you want to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was this on the Genesis?
No.
Oh wow.
That's 10.
I'm glad I
Oh, that's
asked.
good though, because that'll really narrow it down.
It could
now-
also technically be an arcade game.
Oh, I got this. Was it released as a on a CD based medium?
Well,
Yes.
Okay, so then it's not 32X, and
That's true.
it was on Saturn or CD.
If
Well,
this,
we asked about Genesis,
Yeah,
and
if this
Genesis
had
is Sega CD, so
and
Yeah,
32X.
that's right.
so it has to be a Saturn game. This
Okay.
is a Saturn game.
It's a Saturn game.
My hour has come.
yeah.
Uh,
There's Guardian Heroes.
yeah.
There's Dragon.
That's
what-
Treasure.
Very
Guardian Heroes is Treasure.
I'm just thinking
Radiant
about
Silvergun's
high-profile
Treasure.
Saturn games.
Yeah.
Dragon,
Panzer Dragoon,
Dragon
is that
Force,
right?
Panzer Dragoon.
probably
Dragon
what it is.
Force. There's
So this game got dragons in it.
there's Knights.
No.
It could be Knights, which was Sonic Software
Knights.
Planning.
So
But he would
hey,
know
not
that it
Panzer
was-
Dragoon or Dragon Force. Are there actual dragons in Dragon Force?
Dragon Force. I don't remember the Dragons
Yeah.
in Dragon Force.
Is this
Actually,
a
there's
shooter?
armies, but there's not.
Yeah.
You're asking if this is a shooter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So is it Ikaruga?
Virtua Cop.
Is that no? What's on it? What's the big
there's-
shooters?
Everything's a shooter on it, but not all of those were developed by Sega.
That was the joke I made.
Virtua
Yeah.
Cop.
Yeah, Virtua Cop comes to mind. So does House of the Dead.
But Virtua Cop would have obviously been made by Sega. I don't want to get
Why
too
aren't you
hung
guys
up on
thinking
that.
of space shooters?
We could be.
We are, but because Sega
you're
didn't
saying the light
produce
gun
a lot of
shooters?
those.
Yeah, there was 3 of them.
Is it? Should we just ask that?
I mean, is it first person?
Yes.
Okay, so it's probably a
Cool,
light
alright.
gun shooter. All right,
Maybe it's Lethal Enforcers. Did that come out for?
I think
Alright.
that was Genesis.
I don't want to. I don't
Virtua
want
Cop,
to. I don't want
right?
to get
Yeah,
too.
I think you're in the right.
I don't want to get too
track here.
flippant here though, because that's how we can get into trouble.
Right.
What
So
I-
let's not get
what I-
flippant.
Virtua Cop is obviously Sega, right?
I want
But it might have been developed
But
by
I
one
want
of
to
the
ask:
teams.
is it a waste of a question to ask if you play as a cop?
I don't think that's a waste of a question.
It's funny.
Do you play as a cop?
I don't think so.
Well,
Not a Virtua Cop.
That's an interesting
Yeah.
answer.
I
I
mean,
don't know. I don't know where that leaves us.
No, that's okay. There's a lot
Is
of
House of
I
the
hope I
Dead
haven't
on it?
misled you.
House of the Dead is a House of the Dead. Okay, so what do
Could
we
be
know?
House of the Dead.
Let's go back around. What do we know about this game? It's
Saturn.
published by Sega. It's on Saturn.
In the in the '90s game.
It's a
There's
90s
no money.
game.
Thank you,
There's,
as well.
No money system.
there's no money system.
There are sequels. That's very important.
House of the Dead fits all that.
Is House of
Yeah.
the Dead on Saturn?
Maybe.
Yes, House of the Dead was on
original?
Saturn. Yeah.
What else?
let's see, what else would count? I'm trying
Wait,
to think
we're
of other
talking. You said
out of the
first
eye-
person.
We
but
know
I
it's
don't
first
know if
person, but we
light
don't know
gun
it's a light
shooter.
gun game. But I don't know. Sega
No,
didn't
we have
really
enough questions.
make a lot of other shooters that I can think of.
Not, I mean, there's
Doom for the Saturn?
Silent Scope, which
That'd
I
be
don't know if
great.
that came out on Saturn or not. I
That
don't
doesn't
remember.
exist.
You shoot zombies in this game?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's almost certainly House of the Dead. So let's double. Does this game take place in a house full of dead people?
Yes.
All right.
Is that House
What
of
if
the
it's
Dead?
not? What if it's not?
I want you to do that to
Yeah.
us sometime. I don't actually want you to do it. Is it House of the Dead?
Yes.
There we go. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
also
nice.
arcade, right?
Yeah, the reason
Originally released in arcade.
The reason
Yeah.
we were ignoring shooters, even though there's a million of them on Saturn, virtually none of them were Sega games.
Yeah.
So
That's
why
why.
did
That's
we?
why.
Why were we able to narrow it down to a guessing on a Sega system when this is clearly an arcade game? Like, what a weird sequence of events led us to that.
It
Yeah.
was released in arcade
funny.
first, and then came to Saturn and PC in 1998.
Because if
2
we
years
just would
later.
have asked, like, if it was an arcade game, we
Yeah.
would have gone a completely
Yeah, but
different
House
route.
of the Dead was one of the first things to click when we got here. Like, we were well
Yeah.
on the road to that.
Yeah,
you
it's
you
got
mentioned Virtua Cop, sets, and that first person question kind of nailed it because there just aren't. It was going to be that. I don't think they ever put Silent Scope on Saturn.
What do the
I
light
think that was
guns look
later.
like for Saturn?
In America, I'm not sure
They're like
they were
pistols?
ever released. That was around the time of Columbine. Did they ever release the shooter here? Or I think
Yeah.
they gimped.
Yeah.
I thought they gimped the American Saturn so that you had to play the light gun games with the controller.
No, the light gun games, because the
Yeah.
Time Crisis guns existed.
yeah, but
I
weren't
owned
those
them.
for Genesis? Okay, so I'm wrong then.
Not
about
Genesis.
this.
That I owned them for PlayStation, but I mean, that was the same era.
Okay, I'm trying to. I don't know why
Were those
this is
pink
in
and
my
blue?
head.
They were I don't remember, man. I think
Weird
mine
to
was
think of-
orange.
yeah.
Somewhere around this time, there was a period of time where some of the games actually had their light gun software taken out in
Yeah.
the American release in response to shootings.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking American House of the Dead might not have worked with a gun. It's
How
been
would
a
you
while
play it?
since I've read with a controller and crosshairs. But it's been,
cool.
again, it has been a while. So I may
boy.
be talking
That's how
out
you
of my...
play like Operation Wolf on
Yeah.
NES.
Yeah, that is. Actually, that's how you play Operation Wolf in arcade.
It's how you play that Aerosmith
that
game.
gun you shoot with in the arcade is not a light gun. It is a joystick.
Interesting.
And underneath,
That's
it's
really
just
interesting.
figuring out relative to your position where the cursor should
That's
be.
an awesome arcade cabinet.
Yeah. So when you pull the trigger, it's not reading a light sensor. It's just firing where the cursor
That's
is.
how Star Wars for Atari works too. It's just 2 gears and optos.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. House of the Dead was developed by WoW Entertainment. That's what threw me off, the developer. But I think they're a division that was owned by Sega.
Sega
I
broke
think
a
of House
lot
of
of their
Dead as a
software
Sega.
planning up into little teams. And,
Yeah, the
that
name
may
doesn't
very well
mean
been one
anything
of
to me, honestly.
Wow.
them.
Wow.
Typing of the Dead, man.
Entertainment.
That's where it's at. Typing of the Dead.
Typing of the Dead's great.
Yeah.
House of the Dead. Thank you for the suggestion, Russell Cruz.
That was a fun one. And we won, so I liked it.
Yep, that was a good one.
Hats off to you, Jared.
That brings us to the end of another Game Scoop. Thank you for joining me in the old podcast room, everybody.
I like it.
Thank you for having us. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is always Game Scoop is always a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah.
This is kind of the high point of my week here.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Remember, viewers and listeners, you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
My name is Damon. This is IGN Game Scoop, and we're out.